Okay, this is part C of the ClimbInfo free response question. And this is a pretty weird one. I never actually seen this again in a free response question where they don't actually have you do any code. They just have you interpret some code that they're trying to write for a method called distinct peak name. So basically, they're going to go through the climb list and they want to figure out how many unique different mountains they've climbed. So like this Monadnock or whatever only counts once. So in this example, it's only three because you have three distinct peaks: Monadnock, Whiteface, and Algonquin. Okay, and so basically, they're going to give you the method, which says if climb list. They have a whole description of it up here, so hopefully you've read all this stuff, looked it over. But they basically say if there's no climbs in the list, then there's no peak names. Right? That kind of makes sense. And then the rest of it is to understand this part of it. So basically, they're going to take a climb, that 0th climb, and they're going to set that to be a previous name. All right. And then they're going to do a current name, which is kind of like the one that sort of comes after the previous name. And then basically they're going to loop. All right. So they're going to start at position 1 because they've already done position 0. And they're going to say that's our current climb is the one at that spot. And then we're going to get its name because we want to compare that name to the name from the other one, the previous one. And so basically, if they're not 0, then we have a new unique name. And then we want to reset the previous name to be the current name we're on because this is the new unique one. Right. And then once we're done with that loop, then we return the number of names. Okay. And so I think the right answer here is that this does work if they're in order. So um, if they did it the way they did in part A, it wouldn't work because they're not in order, but it would work for part B, yes, um, because those are in order in part B. Okay, so this one would be no for part 1 and then yes, part 2. So if you want a more of an explanation of that, here's where it would work if they're in order. Because basically we would take and say, we would say sort of this one is our previous to start. We have one called previous, and then we have one called current. And so basically it starts off and says, okay, we're going to start it here is previous. Sorry, I'm struggling to move these around a little bit. Thing is sometimes messy. And it says, okay, if it's different, increase our count, right? And then this becomes previous, all right? And then we move over and say, okay, are these the same? Yep, they're the same. So then we just move this over one. And now that they're different, now you increase the count. This becomes previous, and then this one becomes current. So you're just kind of moving your way through, and it's the first time, right? Basically, once current becomes not equal to previous, you increase the count because we've hit a new mountain, and then you reset previous to be whatever you're on currently, and then start checking again, right? And at first, I wondered like if you had 3 in a row, would this still work? But I think the way it's set up, it would because it doesn't change, doesn't increase the count and change until current and previous are different. So that's what's showing up in this code here, right? Once they're different, then you increase the count and then change previous name to current name. So if you have a big long streak of the same name, um, it's not going to increase the names, right? So I think that works as intended, making as long as they're in order, that's great, right? If they're out of order, that's not going to work because most of the time, previous and next are going to be different. So like if they're in this order, this would say 4 distinct peaks when it really should only be 3. So they got to be in order for this to work. And I think that's what they're driving at in part C here. So it is no for part the A ClimbInfo method or whatever for the A method, and then yes for the B method. All right, hopefully that makes sense. Take care.